Pacheco or Pacheco? Help me
Pacheco.
out. Okay.
Pacheco, my friend.
Is that Italian?
Mexican.
Mexican. All right. Well, there we go. You have been pardoned by President Trump. And so congratulations. Can you
Thank you.
explain to me, Angelo, your last couple of years, what has this been like under the tyranny, the jackboot of the Biden regime?
Well, it started after 2021. I was there in DC observing, and I decided to get out of politics after the whole January 6th thing. I started working in a special needs classroom here in Kansas City, and I was going to school to become an EMT when the feds come knocking at my door, saying I'm going to be charged for stepping in the United States Capitol for 6 seconds, by the way, only a couple feet in for 6 seconds. From there, it was a little bit terrifying at first, I will admit, but uh, it definitely turned me into the person I am today through that hardship because it was really tough. It was really tough. And throughout all this, I saw the light at the end of the dark tunnel, and it's just been euphoric the last couple of days. That's for sure.
We have what I believe here is a case file for you, and it's very important to talk about what actually happened that day. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to set the table here. We have the footage, the actual B-roll of the police officers opening the doors. The Capitol is a fortress. These doors, including the large magnetic doors that weigh tons, cannot be opened unless they are opened from the inside on purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened was the police officers physically opened the door. These are armed police officers, opened the doors, and in many cases escorted peaceful J6 political prisoners into the United States Capitol. This entrance right here is the entrance that you can see here in Angelo's, you can see right here in Angelo's case file that he stepped in for 6 seconds and then turned around and walked back out. Do I have that correct, Angelo?
You do, but what you can't see in that video is there was police officers on the right side of that tunnel saying people can come in if they'd like.
You're really? That's what they told you?
Well, from what I can remember, it was sort of along the lines of, I said, "Are you letting people in?" And they said, "You can come in if you want." And I thought to myself, that sounds like a trap a little bit. So I'm gonna turn the other way and go home. And that's exactly what I did.
But then the feds still came after you. And what happened next?
Well, they came to my front door. They basically hinted that I should get a lawyer, which I did. And then from there, we scheduled my arraignment. I went into the Kansas City federal courthouse. Um, I was in EMT school. I had to miss one of my tests for it, and I go in and and the U.S. Marshal didn't even know how to process a misdemeanor inside of there. I was hanging out in their office. They were actually really cool. The U.S. Marshals were really cool. I think they understood the situation a little bit, maybe in a mocking way, just like some of these articles here from the Yahoo News and Kansas City Star. 6 seconds in the Capitol. But so I was in there, did my fingerprints, all of that, and they ended up putting me in a jail cell. And then to walk me out to the courtroom, they did keep me away from all the other detainees in there, the actual criminals. But they shackled me by my hands and my wrist to parade me in to the courtroom, almost as a humiliation type of thing. From there, everything was kind of set. I knew what was going to happen. I knew I wasn't going to go to jail. I just knew it was going to probably be probation. And when I was charged, 2 weeks, nothing happened. And then one day I wake up to my phone. I see this. My neighbor texted me this exact article here. Said, "Is this true?" And I said, "Yeah." And then my phone just started blowing up. I was on national news articles, uh, and it was tough.
It's evil because what I witnessed, and I was there on January 6th, I was at the speech itself, and I watched what has to be 100,000 people. The shots of the crowd, it's the biggest Trump crowd I've ever seen in my life. It's 100,000 people holding patriotic flags, who simply wanted a fair election. That is 99.999% of everybody there. And I think the only other fraction of a percent were agitators. It's the only day I didn't see BLM or Antifa wandering Washington, D.C. I think it was LARPers, agitators, and feds. Anyway, brother, I witnessed and covered all the BLM and Antifa riots where they torched our churches, our federal buildings, put graffiti on war memorials, tried to tear down the Lincoln Memorial. They were attempting to kill the president. So they stormed the White House with the absolute intention of killing the president. I was there asking people, what are you here for? They said they want to actually kill Donald Trump. That's what they said. And nothing happened to those people. And you were invited into a Capitol building for 6 seconds from a cop, and then this happens to you, and it makes my blood boil. And I'm so incredibly happy for this moment for you. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through this. Were you locked up then after this? So they did a humiliation ritual. They put you in shackles like you're some type of like mass murderer.
They put me in a jail cell for 6 hours. And then after that, I did not get a jail sentence. I was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 60 hours of community service, and 30 days home detention. I had an ankle monitor, which was absolutely hilarious. So the worst part of all of that was the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl while I had my ankle monitor on and I was not able to celebrate.
Ah,
So, throughout the whole thing, that was the worst part. So it wasn't too bad. And I know, and I say that to try to make light of the situation, but the other people had it a lot worse. And my goal is to come on to shows like these and tell the world about that, about how other people were in jail. I mean, there's still some I don't know if you've checked in the last hours on X, but there's still people still in the DC jail. They haven't got let out yet. I don't know what's going on there, but my goal is to just show everybody, to tell everybody the story of how ruthless these people were treated. Because yeah, my story sucks and it does, but other people, man, they had it a lot worse. And we need to make sure that we help those people.
so wise and incredibly profound, and I think wisdom well beyond your years, young man. Here's the actual pardon itself, and this is the photograph of it, and it includes you on here with Donald Trump's signature right there, saying you are not only obviously a free man, but also what happened to you is wrong, which is what a pardon actually means. You were a victim of an unjust system. You were persecuted. What's your message to President Trump?
First, thank you. I'm grateful. I'm ready for the golden age. I feel like this is just a new beginning. My early 20s really sucked because of all of this, and now I feel like I can just expand from here and move upward. So thank you, President Trump. It was great.
If you got a chance to meet President Trump and shake his hand, what would be the one thing that you tell him?
I'd say thanks, President Trump. Please, please keep on the rest of your promises. We want to make this country great. We want to make sure it's fair for Generation Z, because my generation right now is in an economic, not turmoil, maybe not turmoil, but man, things are going to be hard for us, in terms of rent, mortgages, all that. So I hope he really fixes that to help my generation out.
Yes. And your message to the J6 political prisoners who are still locked up inexplicably against the order of the president who has the power to liberate them, especially in a place like Washington, D.C.
Your time is coming. We're coming. Hopefully you can get out soon, because it's just you think of these things happening in communist Russia and in the Soviet Union and North Korea. I cannot believe it is happening here. I still can't believe it. If sometimes it just feels like a movie, and God, I'm just so sorry for those guys that are still locked up.
Yes. In closing here, Angelo, you're so confident about this and you're so at peace with it. How did you get there? What was it that held your faith through all of this? Because, I mean, you never know when the next Fed raid could come, right? This is something that my wife and I regularly talk about, which is they're going to come for all of us, right? Like they were trying to pull ops on everyone who they viewed as a threat, And we were facing the real possibility. I mean, under a Kamala presidency, you face the real possibility, even if you're like a YouTuber, right? Even if you're just a streamer, of a federal raid, right? It's a horrible, dark cloud to have over your head, and you suffered a great deal for it. What was it that kept you going?
Jesus Christ. Everything is written. Everything's written before it happened. Everybody has their own destiny, their own story. Whether it makes us whatever that goal is that God has for us. Strength through hardship. It's never going to come easy. You're always going to suffer for something. So as long as you have that cemented faith in God, you're going to get through anything.
Even the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
It's inevitable.
And being incapable of going to well, then you'll be able to go to the next one, right? You'll be able to go.
I will.
That's right. Man, I hope you go to the actual Super Bowl. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's been inspiring to speak to you, and thank you. It's been utterly profound, and you're exactly right, Angelo. Like, if you have your faith in something that is immovable, that is true throughout all time, then it really doesn't matter what this life throws at you. And that faith in Christ our Lord is actually what keeps you going. And that's it. I mean, everything else can go up in smoke. But that's the one. So thank you, Angelo. This is just an inspiring message. Everybody should go follow Angelo. He's a bright young man, clearly great taste in cigars and hats. And he's somebody with a very, very bright future. You might see him at a Super Bowl coming up for the Kansas City Chiefs, and now a newly free man and fully pardoned by President Trump. Godspeed, sir.
Thank you.